The fourth and final trading week of March 2025 has begun. We can see it with this seemingly bullish candle that is printing now. This is Monday morning when I'm recording this, and it is my forecast of what I think is going to happen, what I expect to happen, and how I intend to trade these markets for this week. Now, as usual, we'll begin on the economic calendar, but generally, I am expecting this week to have some bearish expansion. Let's go to the calendar and take a look at what we're expecting before we take a look at the charts. Now, interestingly, we have PMI today. PMI is usually a Friday. We usually have PMI Fridays. I think either the second to last or the last Friday of the month. But incidentally, this week, today, it's Monday, 9:15 a.m. The time is currently 9:01 a.m. And so we can expect, a lot of volatility coming into the markets this morning. Now, my general rule is that I don't trade PMI days because there are just too many landmines. It has happened to me where at 9:15, French flash manufacturing will do something. Then at 9:30, German flash manufacturing will completely reverse what French did. And then at 10:30, pound flash manufacturing will do something else, and then 2:45 USD flash manufacturing does something else. At 7 p.m., the Bank of England governor is also speaking. So I just generally tend to avoid PMI days because there are too many landmines and they are too close to each other. You see this one 30 minutes apart, 1 hour apart, and then in the following, and then in the next session for the day. Tuesday, I anticipate should be a beautiful trading day. These are my favorite type of trading days when there's no news, no unexpected volatility, no worries about unexpected volatility coming into the market or throwing the market into disarray. You can tend to trust the price action on days like this. So these are my favorite days. On Wednesday at 8 a.m. we have pound CPI. Pound CPI days have never bothered me because the news comes out right at the start of the kill zone. So I just have to come to the market after that candle has printed and then see what I want to do. And then Thursday we have final GDP and unemployment claims, not a significant news price driver. And then on Friday, we have retail sales at 8 a.m. Same thing, not a problem. And then core PCE price index at 1:30 p.m. So this should be a relatively chill week once the storm of Monday morning comes and goes. What am I anticipating? Well, on the euro dollar, on the pound dollar, and on the New Zealand dollar, they all did something similar. They all traded into a higher time frame key level. On euro, it's the monthly. Not only did it trade into a higher time frame key level, it also took out the previous week's high, as that week had also traded into the higher time frame key level. That is the first sign. And then when it did that, we have a respect candle. A respect candle is a candle that taps into a higher time frame level and then reacts in the manner that you might expect for price to react from there. So what do we have? This week opened here, traded upwards, took out the previous week's high into a monthly fair value gap, then rejected violently and closed near the lows. What does that tell us? It tells us that the market is primed to go lower. So when you have a respect candle, you can reasonably expect the candle after to continue the momentum from the previous candle into some important level. And boy, do we have a lot of important levels. But before we go into the lower time frames, I want to show you what this candle looks like on the pound and on the New Zealand. So on the pound, you see, we have a similar looking candle. We have this candle took out the previous week's high. This candle took out the previous week's high, then traded. Sorry, let me just get rid of all of this. So we have a candle that took out the previous week's high. This was where it happened, and then respected that high as well and closed near the lows, closed bearishly. Now let's go to the New Zealand dollar to see what we have there. Same thing, New Zealand traded into a weekly fair value gap, took out this February high, and then traded lower. Beautiful shooting star candle. Now, if we have a candle respecting a higher time frame key level, what do we expect the following week's candle, which is this week's candle, to do? Where can we reasonably expect it to trade into? Well, it's very simple. We have weekly and daily levels that price could potentially target. So when price does this and trades into this point, we have this massive weekly fair value gap over here that price can look to fill in, trade into, but you can see that there are multiple lower than the weekly, but still higher time frame daily and 4 hourly levels that price could potentially look to trade into. Price can want to trade into the consequent encroachment here. Price can want to trade into some daily or 4 hourly level here. And we'll analyze all of that. The reason I'm not drawing the entire weekly fair value gap is that it's so big and there are already higher time frame levels nestled inside that we can consider. It's a little clearer on the pound though, as we have just this weekly fair value gap here. So you can see if price takes out a previous weekly high, trades this way, you can expect price to come back and trade into this weekly fair value gap, into this weekly level. It's not so obvious on the higher time frame on the New Zealand dollar, but let's forget about that for now. So we have two markets that have potential points of interest that the market could want to trade into. So what do we see here? Well, on the euro, we have this 4 hourly fair value gap that is sitting inside this daily fair value gap. And so there's room for price to trade another 70 something pips, to the downside before tapping into this higher time frame key level. That is all I need to frame a trade idea. And so if we go down still to the 4 hour time frame, we can see that the most recent point of interest is this 4 hourly fair value gap. I love the fact that sitting on top, sitting right beneath the 4 hourly fair value gap, is this 4 hourly swing point. This is Friday's high. And so unfortunately, today is PMI and I'm not looking to trade. However, this would have been a beautiful day to take a short trade if price decided to do something like this, trade higher from where it currently is. This is ahead of the PMIs. The first PMI is coming out in about 7 minutes at 9:15. But I would ideally want to see something like this. Price trades higher, takes out Friday's high, trades into the 4 hour fair value gap, then dips lower as it targets this area. That would set the stage for a beautiful short trade. So that would be my first action, so to speak, this week. It would be looking to trade short from this 4 hourly fair value gap after price takes this high out. Now, of course, at some point in the week, I'll be anticipating something like this. Price trades into the discount level when price is sitting nicely inside these levels. Then I would want to see a swing low form. I would want to see that swing low taken out. Then I would want to see the bullishness resume and continue if price intends to do that at all. But for now, short term to near term, I'm looking to take this market lower. On the pound, similar situation. Now, the pound is not so obvious because you can see that the high that we are interested in, the level we're interested in, this 4 hour fair value gap, has pretty much been mitigated already on Friday and price traded lower. And so I wouldn't be interested in going short anywhere in this region. I'd be interested in going short if price were to come all the way back up here. But we can see that here there's a bullish fair value gap going up, bearish fair value gap going down. We have what we call a balanced price range. And so the likelihood that price will come all the way back into this 4 hour fair value gap is not too high, right? And so we'll see what the pound has to offer. But in terms of potential targets, we have this weekly level with this 4 hourly level sitting inside as well. And so that's what I'm looking at for this week. We'll see if I have any trading opportunities